Hi guys, my name is Ryan.
And I'm Sarah, and it's great to be with you guys on this new series about miracles.
Yeah, it's an amazing series we're going to be looking at. But Sarah, if I'm honest with you, when we talk about miracles, sometimes I feel like the expectation is that the blind have to see and the lame have to walk. And when we focus on these big miracles, we lose sight of the miracles that are happening all around us all the time.
I agree with you. Could you give us an example of one in your own life?
Yeah, my grandfather, when I was growing up, had this rare illness where he would just black out. And back in Northern Ireland, he was driving one day by himself and he blacked out at the wheel. And when he woke up and came around, his car was parked perfectly on the side of the road, not causing any danger or harm to anybody else, and none to himself either.
That's crazy. I can't believe that happened, but I can definitely see how God worked in that situation. Let's watch this God story and see what miracle we're going to be learning about today.
Hey everybody, it's Dr. Jamie Robertson, back with you again. It's great to see you. So years and years and years ago, I was a teenager. There's about 15 or 20 of us on the back of a hay cart in the middle of winter, February, cold. So naturally, we started shoving each other off of this thing into the snow. And the girls in the group were sitting on the side and rolling their eyes at all of us silly boys, shoving each other and trying to hurt our very, very best friends in the worst way possible. Well, eventually it became my turn, and they shoved me from behind, and I grabbed one of those aforementioned girls and held onto her, and I was dragged on the side, laughing the whole time. And she's screaming at me, "Let go, let go!" So I laughed for a second and then let go. And much to my horror, I saw the whole thing go ka-chunk up in the air. And I had a moment where I realized I'd just been run over. So here I am lying face down in the snow. I don't know how badly I'm hurt, but I know I'm hurt. So as it turns out, the whole thing had actually run over my left foot, and it had squished my foot down kind of sideways. So if this is your foot, it kind of squished it in like that. So they carried me back to where we are, and there happened to be a youth pastor there. Took the boot off, and he made a joke about how bad my feet smelled, and he prayed, and I let him pray. And lo and behold, my foot actually opened up, and it started to feel better. It was still really swollen, it was still very sore, and I spent the rest of the weekend sort of hobbling around. But I really felt like I had just experienced a healing, a miraculous healing at that. So by Sunday, my father took me to the hospital. I got some x-rays, and yeah, you've got a couple breaks in it, a couple fractures along it, and so I had to put a cast on for a week. And so I kind of dismissed this whole healing thing. I was like, okay, well, that was nice, everything went well, it's not a big deal, I had the cast on my foot. But then I got a phone call about a week later, and we got a call from the hospital, and the doctor says, actually, the funny thing is, we mixed up your x-ray with someone else who came in that night who also had a foot injury, and your foot is actually totally fine. It was the other person's foot that was actually broken. So lo and behold, I actually did have a healed foot. But that was my first sort of real encounter with what, even at that time in my life, I could only describe as a miraculous healing. And that's the story we're looking at today. I want to bring this up because it comes down to the issue of faith. It wasn't my faith, it was the faith of the pastor who prayed over me. Today's big idea is we can share God's love by helping those who are hurting. So we're in the 5th chapter of Luke, verses 17 to 26, and the story goes like this. One day while Jesus was teaching, some Pharisees and teachers of religious law were sitting nearby. Some men came carrying a paralyzed man on a sleeping mat. They tried to take him inside to Jesus, but they couldn't reach him because of the crowd. So they went up to the roof and took off some of the tiles. Then they lowered the sick man on his mat down into the crowd, right in front of Jesus. Now seeing their faith, Jesus said to the man, "Young man, your sins are forgiven." But the Pharisees and teachers of religious law said to themselves, "Oh, who does he think he is? That's blasphemy. Only God can forgive sins." And Jesus knew what they were thinking. So he asked them, "Why do you question this in your hearts? Is it easier to say your sins are forgiven, or stand up and walk? So I'll prove to you that the Son of Man has the authority on earth to forgive sins." Then Jesus turned to the paralyzed man and said, "Stand up, pick up your mat, and go home." And immediately, as everyone watched, the man jumped up, picked up his mat, and went home praising God. Okay, we have a lot of things going on here, but I want to keep us locked into our big idea. This idea of helping others is a way of serving God. And I want us to look at the faith, not of the person who received the healing, but of his friends. How much dedication did these friends show that they would carry their friend there and let no obstacle stop them from getting their paralyzed friend in front of Jesus? The belief that they had that Jesus was going to heal their friend is truly astounding. And this is why Luke immortalizes these friends in this story. What an amazing display of faith, friendship, and loyalty. And clearly it touches the heart of Jesus. And then we have this interesting encounter with Jesus and how he heals him. He heals him, he sees their faith, and Luke actually says that right here. Jesus said to the man, "Young man, your sins are forgiven." But right before that, it's seeing their faith. Not the man about to be healed, but the faith of his friends. So let's keep this in mind, because Jesus actually heals this man by pronouncing his sins forgiven. Now, there's a lot of teaching in Christian circles now that sometimes when anything goes wrong in your life, it could be money, it could be family issues, it can be injury or sickness, it has to do with a lack of faith. And I do not subscribe to that at all. Something about a decision this man had made before had brought him to this place, and Jesus forgives him. And this makes the religious leaders, the churchy people at that time, really upset. Why? Because only God can forgive sins. So for Jesus to heal this guy by saying your sins are forgiven, he's making an outlandish statement. If Jesus is not God, then what he is doing is the worst thing possible, because he is standing in the position of God. So these religious leaders, again, are offended by this, that they completely ignore the fact that someone just got healed in front of them. Jesus' statement that this man's sins are forgiven are validated by the fact that the healing actually takes place. The point of the story is that our God, Jesus, is forgiving. When we put ourselves in the position of helping others, we are aligning ourselves with the heart of God. Now, you may say, oh, okay, that's great, Jamie, and I'm excited for your healing story. Maybe a few of you even have healing stories like this, but some of you might be concerned that, I've never been part of a miracle. I don't know if, somebody around me got hurt, and if I could pray and they'd be all better, would that be phenomenal and stuff? And you know what? Yeah, you're right, it would be. But there's other less dramatic but just as important ways to be there for people. You can bring and be an agent of healing just by letting them know that you care about them. This, more than anything else, is how we embody this healing message that Jesus came to proclaim. Whether it's your faith or someone else's, faith will allow you to see the miracles that are all around you and to take part in them as well. All right, that's our big idea for this one. Thanks a lot. I'm Dr. Jamie Robertson. I remain me, you remain you, and both of those things make me very happy. Till I see you next time, God bless.
That God story is a powerful message, and it shows us something that we can all do. Maybe we could challenge ourselves and do something practical to help those who are going through a really rough time.
Yeah, I'm 100% with you, and we're gonna watch a video now of a perfect example of somebody who shows God's love by caring for people who are hurting. Watch this, they're great friends of ours. They are remarkable people.
I'm Dave.
And I'm Linda.
And we're the parents of two great children, Mackenzie, our daughter, and Jamie, our son.
Jamie is super outgoing, athletic, and enthusiastic. Mackenzie was 2 years older than Jamie. She was incredibly creative, loved music, a lot of fun to be around. So in March of 2012, Mackenzie was diagnosed with leukemia. Our life changed. She became an inpatient at Sick Kids, and I went to live with her there.
Life as we knew it changed. Jamie ended up going with his grandparents for a lot of the time because we were so focused on taking care of Mackenzie and making sure she was okay. We were blessed by having family close by and a loving community, a church that loved us and reached into our lives and helped us.
We were out of the hospital for 9 months, and it was a great 9 months. In February of 2012, she relapsed.
Mackenzie went back into the hospital to undergo more chemotherapy and cancer treatment, and sadly passed away in October of 2012.
So the second time was actually worse because when Mackenzie went into bone marrow transplant, she couldn't see Jamie on the weekends anymore. His life became completely separate from hers. He lived at Nana and Grandpa's. Life was really different.
Mackenzie was always thinking about her brother. What about him? He's at home, is someone taking care of him? So Mackenzie thought, wouldn't it be great to be able to have the kids who have cancer and their siblings be able to go to a camp experience together? And out of that, Mackenzie's Hope was born.
So Mackenzie's Hope is an opportunity for siblings of children with cancer to go to Muskoka Woods for a week.
Kids get to choose from over 50 activities. They get to enjoy all that summer camp has to offer. The artistic kids get to do artistic things, the sporty kids get to do athletic things, and they just get to be kids again, which is awesome.
It's a week about them.
So these siblings who have been invited to come to summer camp want to share it too. They want to share it with their brothers and their sisters. And even the sibling that had cancer. And we love that opportunity. We love that idea because it's an opportunity for them to create memories together again as a family.
So we found that oftentimes when we offer this gift to the sibling of the cancer survivor, the sibling of the cancer survivor actually wants the cancer survivor to come with them.
It's an opportunity for their relationships to be restored, for new memories to be made, and for them to just have some fun together.
Mackenzie was incredibly generous and loving. And this charity, Mackenzie's Hope, is such a beautiful depiction of who she was. Her love for others, her love of camp, and her love for her brother.
And it seems like such a simple gift. It's a week of camp. But for these kids, it's more than that. For the parents, it's more than that. This gift of camp, it's something they get to look forward to. It's something they get to recall and celebrate and remember. But it's a memory knowing that they're loved.
I've actually had the privilege of working with some of these people, and you would not know the effect that cancer has on their lives without taking the time to get to know them and to hear their stories.
Yeah, Mackenzie's Hope is so much more than just this program. Even Mackenzie, as she was struggling with cancer and suffering through this process in hospital, she wanted to care for her brother who she knew would be hurting and struggling with this loss. And even Dave and Linda, when they processed through all this, they talk about how the community, how much they cared for them, how much they loved them, were the ones that brought them through this time.
I'm so glad that we can be reminded today that when we take the time to ask people how they are, we can have an impact on their lives. We don't have to wait until something happens in our lives to be able to understand them. When we don't know what to do, all we have to do is ask them what we can do to help.
So let's break into our small groups now and see what this looks like in our own stories.